Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and hopefully have a lot more fun. My name is Paul Sanneman. I'm your host. I'm the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where contractors build great teams. My guest today is Charlotte Mustard. What a great name. From IMW Group. So Charlotte, what do you guys do?
Well, for starters, it's kind of in the name. So my name is Charlotte. So In My Web is the name of the company. And that was a pun from my name, but more importantly, it is indicative of how I work. So I do marketing for builders and brands that support builders or other agencies that support builders. And I do all the things you expect from a marketer, but on top of that, I leverage relationships within this industry. I'm pretty well networked to help anything that I do for my clients work harder. So that might look like getting two clients together on a podcast like this and then writing blogs out of it on some thought leadership topic. And the benefit of that is that then we can collaborate that type of content on both social media and on your websites, which is great for SEO and great for extra eyes. So sort of the 2-in-1 where we do the work, but we also try to get you extra eyes through networking and relationships and that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, as a coach, I was always trying to convince contractors to network with architects, right? Because, I've built a lot of companies from like 2 to 20 million, it's all with architects. And so you could actually help the contractor network with architects, real estate people, designers, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, almost all of my clients, we have like a different nurture journey for their home buyers or homeowners that they're targeting, but also those exact partners you just talked about. What does it look like to engage with them, helping them with that first touch email, with engagement events, with thought leadership, shared activities, all of it. I believe in that totally. Yeah.
So give me an example of maybe a remodeler home builder that you've helped do that.
Yeah. One of my clients is 𝗵𝘂𝗶𝗿, and his company is BPC Green Builders out of Connecticut. And he himself is a building science guru, expert. He gets asked to speak a lot of events. And I do, for most all my clients, I believe that the owner is your strongest asset. Their thought leadership is the strongest asset that no one uses. Because they're so busy, they don't take the time to share their knowledge. And so I deem it my job to make that fast and easy and use them as an asset. But all that aside, so Ben is a builder, high performance builder, and so I'm constantly connecting him with other builders or architect firms for content. So one example is he's peers with 𝗏𝗡 and Maines, who are also high performance architects that live nearby, and they also have a platform. And 𝗏𝗡 has written a book. Michael Maines is a host on BS and Beer, etc. And so I have the two of them co-writing a content series over the next 5 quarters on resiliency in building. And we chose that topic because it's important for SEO. We know that it's something people are searching right now. And I wanted them to earn and own that SEO block of words. So we put together a plan where once a quarter we launch a hero think piece from the architect side, that's Michael Maines, and the builder side, that's Ben, about some element of building resilient. And I pack those blogs, those articles with SEO words. I make it easy for them because I'll get on the phone and I'll ask questions and I'll prompt them and say, okay, what does this mean? What does that mean? Just like you and I are doing now. But the beauty of this world is we have AI. So AI records the transcript. I go back and I get a draft together that is functionally doing what I need it to do. It is the right number of words. It has the right SEO at the right places, and is summarizing what they talked about. I get it in front of them. They give me some corrections. Hey, Charlotte, you got that wrong, or this needs more beef, or whatever. Then I go back in the blog and I link any other assets. So linking in marketing is really important for getting authority on SEO, which you want, because that's what sends people your way. And then we publish it. And then from there, I help them get traction to that site. So maybe there's social media posts or LinkedIn blurbs that we percolate from that, like a little mic drop moment from something in their blog that we release on LinkedIn, and then we point to the blog. And to date, for clients where I'm doing this, we're seeing a 15 to 20% increase in traffic to their site because of this activity. And then if you dig a layer below that, the traffic is coming from social media, then to the blog, and then to other pages on their website. So that's an example of using 2 of my different clients, their thought leader at the top, making it easy for them. They're not having to sit down and do the writing. And then me doing the heavy lifting on the more functional side of that, the technical side, in terms of the right linking, the right CTAs and downloadables. So it's all measurable and we can see, is it lifting for us or not?
So now I would assume when you work with a client, like some kind of contractor, one, you have to figure out what he'd be a thought leader in, right? And everybody has their own thing. And then
Yep.
secondly, some list of potential associates, affiliates, whether they're architects, real estate people, designers, maybe
Hmm.
even lumber companies, who knows, that they can
Right.
work together on. So how would you go about the process with a contractor finding those, one, what he's a thought leader in, and secondly,
Mhm.
who we should develop as a group of, friends, for lack of a better term, to help produce business?
So I usually start every engagement with clients with an intake where I ask a million questions. And I would say that one of the things I think I'm pretty good at is identifying what someone's secret sauce is, whether it's at work or in my personal life. I'm the habitual champion of someone I believe in, and it's easy for me to say, okay, this is the thing you offer that's unique and cool. And so sometimes that's building science knowledge. For some builders, it is their process, how much they care about their clients, and being able to really tap into, okay, to show me how you care. What does that look like, right? For some builders, maybe it is cost management and transparency through the process. Okay, tell me more about that. So in that intake, I'll see what lights you up and what makes you passionate. And there's something there for everybody, right? And then I'll
Right.
focus us and say, okay, well, that's what we're going to talk about. And then in terms of finding the right partners, it goes two ways. So I have my own network. As I said, I'm very well networked, and I called it In My Web for a reason. I am constantly thinking about my clients and what they have in common or how they can help each other and connecting them. But also maybe you have people in your own, bubble or network that you already are talking to or that you think could do that for you or with you. So if you're already working with an architect, or if you have a crush on an architect and you want to work more with them, I can help you reach out and give them the email that says, here's what's in it for you. Why should you give your time to this? Because basically all that energy and effort I'm doing for my client, they then benefit from, because they get the blog post, they get the social and all that. So I find that to be a pretty warm intro. Most doors get opened fast when we kind of explain what we're going to deliver. And then I have something called the IMW Backroom. So for my clients, I will host sessions like this, roundtables. I call it the back room. They're not public, but where I invite a cross section of my clients on a certain topic that I think is especially spicy, or there might be some differences of opinions or a lot of passion behind. And I'll invite 3 or 4 people that I think could speak to it. So, for example, I'm hosting one soon on working with your spouse, because several of my clients,
Okay.
it's a husband-wife duo, right? And so
Right.
we'll get a little nitty-gritty about where that's wonderful and where it's not, and be real
Right.
about it. And from that, we'll create some blog posts, some social posts that I tag my clients in. So just to answer shortly, I drive a lot of it, but I also will tap into your own network where that makes sense and you have the connections.
Okay. And so, a question for you: why don't you think these things? I mean, I think they're both important. One is developing a network and using it, and the other one is finding out what your secret sauce is, your passion is, and becoming a thought leader. Why don't you think most contractors don't do this? And I'm sure they don't, because I know a lot of contractors. It's just not common.
Well, I think first of all, they don't think they're a thought leader, and they need someone that's like, dude, you are, let me show you.
Okay.
That's the first hurdle. The second is I think they think it's going to take all their time and be hard. And that might have been true in the past. But now with AI doing so much heavy lifting where I can just literally take transcripts. And so if I have a client that gives me an hour a week, I can do a blog a week. Like, it's very easy because I would just record you for 20, 30 minutes, get what I need for the next blog, show you the draft of the last blog, we edit, we go, life is good. And so there are certainly tools and systems now that make it a lot easier that can combat that fear of like, I don't need a second job. A lot of builders, I
Right.
think marketing is a second job, and they don't want to waste their time on that. So I would say in the last 3 years, the way AI has come along has reduced that barrier quite a bit.
Right. I mean, it used to be really hard to write a book, and now it's not quite so hard, right?
Correct. Right.
You can say, I
Right.
want to write a book on blah, blah, blah. Here's my thing, and AI will at least give you first draft, right?
Right, exactly. And there's systems you create. So over time, I capture your voice. This scares people. So I get that I might turn some people off by saying this, but I'll create a GPT project where I've trained it on your voice. And the more inputs you give me over time, whenever you're correcting a blog and you say, I would never say it like this, or, hey, that's an incorrect technical detail, I save all of that and I continue training the GPT. And so what I'm finding is over time, the amount of corrections and errors goes way down because we've really got an ecosystem we built. And that tool is not just good for blogs. It is good for writing your website copy. My favorite use of it is you've got a client who's spicy or angry, or you're trying to set some kind of boundary with them and it's hard to wordsmith this email that's going to be tension filled, I go into GPT and I'm like, look, here's the outcome I need from this scenario. Here's what the client wrote to me. Help me write this in a way where I set the firm boundary, but I don't piss them off. I still make them feel heard.
Right.
It's lovely. So it's an asset that we're creating that is highly powerful outside of just sort of social content and marketing efforts.
Now, can it create an avatar? I mean, because I know it's getting really good at this stuff, right? We're going to actually do a podcast with you without you.
Maybe. I haven't gotten that far. I've seen it happen. I think there's an X factor.
I mean, it's getting, I was just using this morning with a client, and I was saying I had been his coach for years, and I said, we don't want to fire this guy for a whole bunch of reasons. He was hesitant to let go of somebody. I said, God. So don't listen to me. Go ask ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told him the same thing I did, except in a more way that he could understand it. And it was sort of pissed off at me, but he said, yeah, you're right. Because it told him all the reasons why he should have the guy, he should not have the guy, why it was a bad decision, why he had why it was an emotional heavy thing for him because of his background, because it already knew all about it. He said, may do with his mother, blah, 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 but you really need to do this because it's hurting your company. And it was way better than me. I was impressed, right?
Yeah. I would say, so two things out of that. Number one, you're absolutely right. GPT, if you do it right and if you get used to using it, which, by the way, my philosophy is to coach and train you on that and hand it over. I'm not a gatekeeper. Okay. I anticipate most of my clients will graduate from my services. I even build it into the way I do my billing. I train and educate and empower my clients to then have someone on their team go forward, right? And if I'm doing my job right, I hope they keep me as a coach, but execution support they can handle, right? So there's that. It's very powerful for things like you just said, where you're trying to think through a strategic decision, whether it's related to marketing or not. You can have it ask you challenging questions, question how you're thinking about things, use it as a sounding board that challenges you without it feeling personal, right? So that's great.
Right.
As it relates to creating an avatar that is your face and literally your face, it's never, I don't think you can't totally rely on it if you are a thought leader business owner. If you're just trying to sell a product and Vanna Whiting something, sure. But if you are to be trusted as a thought leader and that's how we're presenting you, people notice, they get that little ick factor, they don't know what it is. So there's always a layer in my mind of editing and keeping a little bit of real, a little bit of raw. Sometimes I make it put some typos in. Sometimes I appreciate copy or content where someone is stuttering or whatever because they're just passionate about it. So there's that little, we don't want to cross that line where it feels disingenuous, but yeah.
So it can write for you. I mean, it's not, you're not going to have a video for you because they're good at it, but it's a little weird when it becomes you, right?
Yeah, that part's weird, but the writing, you can get really good.
As far as writing a blog for you or writing answers to things, it can become your avatar in that way and save you a lot of time, right?
Yeah, and I would always give eyes on it at the end, but it saves you so much time and so much heartache if the wordsmith is something that you've got to get just right in a tense situation. There's a lot of thinking you do when you write an email like that, right? And this takes away a lot of that. So
does it work on how telling your spouse that you don't want to go to the movie?
I mean, I have used it to tell my spouse a few things here and there.
I see.
Or your mom,
or your mom, or you look at your mom, I'm really going to go on vacation with you this year, and I really love you, but you're not coming, right?
Oh, yeah. We have a big Catholic family. There's a lot of emails.
It was like, help me convince my mom she's not coming on vacation with me. I guess. Okay, so Charlotte, if people how do you charge for what you do, and how do people find more about you?
Yep. So I have 3 service packages that hit you where you're at. The underlying theme of all of them is I run my own small business, and I've been at the leadership table of multiple $100 million businesses. I understand that the P&L is everything. I don't want to burden your P&L with marketing that isn't the right size. So at any given stage, I'm going to step in and work with you transparently and say, this does or doesn't make sense. Let's save this for later. So with that in mind, we started the baby step, which is a package that is $3,000, and we do it in like 4 weeks. And this is just your clear positioning, who you are, what your special sauce is, what you deliver, showing up professionally everywhere that someone might search you or have a first impression. So your website, we're going to make sure and refine that copy, any flyers or business cards, your first level of your inbound funnel, any emails you're writing whenever someone reaches out, even coaching the owner on that first, when they pick up the phone, or when they're introducing themselves to someone on an elevator, here's who I am and what I do, but in a way that tells someone that thing that you deliver well or right, your special sauce, right? So there's that. And then social media. People Google you on social media. So making sure you have some foundational posts pinned to the top of your page that your About Me is doing heavy lifting on telling your story, but also on SEO, all of that. And so then I give homework where I'm like, okay, you take it from here. Here's the GPT we created for you. Here's the positioning we created for you. Here's the a potential way to keep showing up on social media that's easy. Like you could, if you don't want to be in front of the camera, fine. Here's a post a week that are FAQs you could do that I heard from your intake and that you could keep fueling, right? So that one is fast, simple. I call it the boost. Really, it was modeled after my father was a tradesman and marketing was not his jam, right? And he didn't have time and he didn't have a team. So I want that to be the thing that's the level playing field for the guy who's kind of at the lower level of the revenue stream. In the middle between that, I offer what I call coaching, which is where we do everything I just said. And then ongoing once a month for $750, I continue helping drive your content and your engagement. So that might look like the cross-pollination between my clients, continuing to give you blog ideas ready for you to post, continuing to give you social media ideas. I don't do the execution of the social. We can, but for that price, it's just the coaching. But I always want those clients to have a bench of ideas so they never feel like, what the heck do I post today? There's 20 ideas on a page for them to go to. And we have content fuel sessions once a quarter where I keep that bench ready. And then if you have someone that can do the execution, say a marketing coordinator or an admin, great. If you need help with execution, we can go and put together a package to do that, or I can connect you to someone who does that. So that's kind of the middle layer. And for some partners, that also includes brand collaborations. So if you have a following online, or if you just have the ability to do case studies for brands, I'm very well networked with brands in the industries, building product brands, more so in the wall assembly than interior finishes, admittedly. And so I'm constantly, they'll tell me. So I was on a call yesterday with 𝗪𝗃 Decking. They're looking for someone who has a project where they do a deck on a second level, but they want the bottom level below it to be waterproof because it's like an interior space and they don't want water to come through the deck, right? So I then go to all my clients and I'm like, does anybody have a project that looks, feels, and smells like this year? If so, 𝗪𝗃 might want to send you some product in exchange for content, right? So that kind of activity happens if the client has an appetite for that. The other option might be getting them on podcasts with brands or whatever if they're just trying to do that. And then the third package is where if you're at, say, 8 to 15 million in rev, and you've always done marketing as an afterthought, but you're ready instead to make it a strategic part of your business, and you want to grow and scale with intention, then I come in as a fractional CMO. And that could cost anywhere, we do a monthly cost. It's usually an 18-month arc, starting around 10,000 a month, maybe 8 to 10,000 for the first few months, where we're building out, and it's an all-inclusive price. We're building out things, websites, tech stack automations, making sure that your inbound funnel is as automated as you do or don't want it to be, your social media content, getting it going, getting it executed, all that. And then over time, we go from build out phase to we're refining, we're testing and learning, to we're creating SOPs and systems that make it easy. And then we hand it off to your team. And so we go from 10,000 down to, over time, I hope I've proven myself and you like having me in your corner and you want me to continue coaching your team, but also keeping you engaged in collaborations with my network, then we're more like an advisor role at, like, say, 2,000 a month. With all of that, we can do pass-through support on specific things. So under all of that, I've built a team where it's all people who are experts at what they do. Someone who is good at media, someone who is good at social content, someone who is a graphic designer, someone who does media, like production. And they're all specialists in their area, but they're also all industry specific. So they are only focused on, or majority focused on, this industry, and they're vetted by me. So this business model is not so different than yours, Paul, where I can help pull in the resource they need when they need it, turn it off when they don't. They're not then burdened by hiring a full team and paying for that, or trying to hire one person who knows all of that, which is impossible. That's a unicorn that doesn't exist.
Okay, cool. Well, if people want to get in touch with you, Charlotte, how do they do it?
My website is imwgroup.net. So that's probably the easiest way. I can also send you a link that you can add to, whatever it is. But yeah, that would be the place.
Okay, well, thanks. I appreciate it. I think it's a good thing to do. And if you're not getting the business you want, I think it's always a sales problem. It looks like something else, but it's always sales. So I give Charlotte a call. Great idea, Charlotte. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.